Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Well, today we've got an audience, so let's jump into this month's Q&A and tell you about what's been happening here at Ozzie Reviews. So first of all, what's new? Okay, I've done the Bighorn Armory review in 454 Cazul. Very, very interesting rifle and caliber. You'll see my thoughts on it when the review comes out this month, okay? So keep an eye out. It'll probably be, I would say, yeah, the next release. So editing that at the moment. Also too, guys, we got a hold of the brand new Victor Precision 25 round magazine for the Ruger American 22 Magnum and also 17 HMR. So I was able to do a review of that. And yeah, very, very happy with that product, because obviously it means a lot being able to have that product here in Australia where it's prohibited from import, but legally we can have them here in Australia. So very excited about that one as well. Also too, I've got another couple of reviews coming out testing some ammunition and seeing which or how it performs in my rifles. And you know, just to give you an idea, especially when there's a new line, or you know, like for example that Remington 22 Magnum ammunition, I reviewed that recently, and you know, some really outstanding results with that. So people have really enjoyed that sort of thing, so a couple more like that as well. I've also got some accessory reviews coming, so as usual there's just so many reviews to do and not enough time. So I'm trying my best to get around and be able to do all of them. So the first question we got is from Stacey, and he says, hey Ozzie, I'm picking up my first shotgun soon to add to my collection. It's an Adler B230 T and will only be used for feral pest reduction. I'm running buckshot double aught SG in it. What choke, if any, do you recommend? Well mate, I usually use a full choke, and the only reason being is obviously it's going to hold that shot together tighter for extended distances. You've got that choice of doing that. However, if you do want to use more of an open choke, have a look at the Federal Flight Control. Okay, I did an actual review on it, shooting it through my Benelli, and I tell you what, like for buckshot, it's got a special wad in it, and it controls the shot for extended distances, you know, just using a normal cylinder or open choke. So have a look at that review. Next question I got here is from Darren. He says, hey Ozzie, what are the conditions on alternate storage addresses and the type of places that you can use? Mate, good question. Not a lot of people know this, but as a licensed shooter here in Queensland, I can only speak for Queensland. The two that I've seen being approved before are people who have a motorhome or a boat, and they wish to be able to take their firearms and store them at those, you know, obviously locations. So to do that though, naturally you're going to have the same requirements as what it is for a house, in the sense of, you know, you're safe. It's got to be a solid construction there, you know, depending on the category of firearm, you know, whether it has to be bolted or not, you know, to the actual floor, or, you know, depending on the weight of it. So, you know, all that is the same. However, you will have to supply photos so that you can give weapons licensing a good understanding of what it is you're trying to do and how your storage will look. So the two that I've heard of haven't had any problems. It's been a bit of a long drawn out process because I've had to take plenty of photos, and there's a little bit of correspondence going back and forth. However, you know, they have been approved for those two addresses, or alternate addresses I should say. Now, next question from Darren is, how much powder and primers can I legally store at home in Queensland, and the storage requirements? Okay mate, so our stuff here in Queensland is controlled by the explosives regulation when it comes to ammunition. So basically everybody needs to have an ammunition license to possess small arms ammunition under that regulation. However, if you do have a Weapons Act license, then you do have an exemption there, okay? However, you still can only store the amount prescribed under that regulation. So for example, when it comes to powder, it depends on the size of your land, okay? So up to 2 hectares, 15 kilos of powder, and then if you've got over 2 hectares of land, well then you can have a maximum of 30 kilos of powder, okay? So I think probably 99% of shooters would probably fall into that lower category. Now, if you're looking at, and I'll add this as well, if you're looking at any sort of actual cartridges. Okay, so if you've got 10,000 or more, then you need to display a 1.4S explosive sign, okay, at the location. So that's pretty simple to do. Okay, there are a couple of guidelines on it. If you just do a quick Google search on it, there's a couple of examples on where to actually put the sign, you know, if you've got that amount of ammunition stored. But the powder storage there, mate, that's the limits as per the regulation. Next question from Darren is, when I'm travelling with ammunition and firearms, how is ammo to be stored with the firearms? Okay, pretty straightforward, mate. Naturally, they have to be separate. They can't be in the same container. Here in Queensland, once again, you know, a firearm needs to be stored when transporting in a locked boot or a locked container. Okay, so that goes for people who have got, you know, lockable toolboxes or something on the back of a ute. Well, obviously you can put, you know, your firearms in there to travel, you know, out to the range or going out hunting or whatever you're doing. If it's a car, well, obviously there's a boot, so you can put it in the boot there. If you don't have those options available, well, what it says is securely stored out of sight in the vehicle. Okay, so in other words, in a gun case and out of sight in the actual vehicle. Naturally, if you were to pull up to go to the toilet and get something to eat, well, of course you're going to lock the vehicle. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it there. Next question I got here is from Tyler, and he says, hey mate, I'm up in far north Queensland and we have heaps of state forests completely overrun with feral pests. Is there any way to legally hunt them? No, there isn't. They don't have that here in Queensland. It seems to be a bit of a hot topic, and there's a lot of people that I'm sure will comment below and tell you the real reasons and roadblocks that have been thrown in the way, you know, in relation to this here in Queensland. Which is a shame because, you know, feral pests is so much vast area here in Queensland. Obviously it's a massive state, and the amount of, you know, feral pests that are in state forests is just phenomenal. You know, and we don't have, obviously, the people who work in the state forests, in my view anyway, doing a substantial amount of work into reducing those numbers as what's really required to make an impact. So, you know, my view on it has always been open up the state parks. I mean, New South Wales, let's face it, New South Wales has the most restrictive gun laws in all of Australia, hands down, yet they allow public land hunting. You know what I mean? Like it's a no-brainer. It can be done here, but there are certain organisations that are certainly throwing some roadblocks in that path, in my view. Next question I got here is from Will, and he says, hey Ozzie, big thanks for all the content you produce for all of us. What are your thoughts on skill exchange in order to access rural land to shoot on? I'm a boiler maker and I've had some success, but on other occasions I've been asked to do repairs that normally I would charge thousands of dollars for. And the result is all I'm doing is having a plink in a paddock in return. I'm always happy to help. However, you know, it's not financially viable for me to spend a week fabricating gates or refurbishing a crush at my own cost. As a landowner yourself, what would you give as an example as a fair trade? Thanks mate, and all the best. Honestly, if it was me, you know, if I needed something done, like say for example there was a gate or say, you know, say you put in a weekend's worth of work and you were fixing a crush or something like that, mate, I would just simply say come out anytime you want. And that's not just one time. You come out anytime you want. You're responsible, no issues at all. Now and then I might need something fixed or repaired, and you just have a gentleman's agreement with it. That's the way I look at it personally. Not this one for one, you know, up until the minute basically. Oh, you do 2 hours of work, you have 2 hours of shooting. I don't see that as fair because, like you say, you know, you're putting a lot of time and effort into it, where a landowner, if they're letting you have a shoot on their land, well, what are they actually really doing? It's not costing them any of their time. You know, if you're responsible, you're going to be off just doing your own thing while they're busy doing their thing. So yeah, that's what I consider a fair trade. Next question I got here is from Chiller, and he says, how can we encourage many urbanites to own firearms here in Australia? Well mate, honestly, the best way to do it is you invite someone to go shooting out at the range. And don't be silly and put them behind a 308 or a 12 gauge or anything like that. Start them off with a 22 and just have the sheer fun of enjoying a rimfire to reinforce the firearm safety rules and just that principle of fun shooting. You know, that's the way I would do it. Next question I got here is from Michael, and he says, hey Ozzie, how do I go about getting a Cat H license, and what's the difference between this and an A and B license? Mate, quite a bit. Basically, an A and B license, there's two things you need to satisfy. Either one, you have permission to shoot on rural land from a landowner. They write you a letter to say, yes, you can come and shoot on their property. Or two, you're a member of an accredited club. So here in Queensland, if you're a member of an accredited club, you put your application in, you get both endorsements, recreational shooting on rural land and naturally club and target shooting at a range, okay? The same as if you just put in your letter from a landowner, you'll get both endorsements once again to do club target shooting and also recreational shooting. So you only have to satisfy one of those two, okay? Very straightforward. Obviously do a safety course for A and B, and then have your genuine reason being either a club membership or a letter from a rural land holder, and that's it. You do your application from there. Very, very straightforward. Personally, I will add, I would probably suggest going down the path of being a club member because of the liability insurance that you get. Like, for example, I don't let even friends come out here to my place and shoot unless they've got, you know, like Shooters Union membership, for example, because then they have that liability insurance that comes with that membership. So, you know, basically for, you know, $35 a year, or it might even be 40 now, I haven't even looked for ages, but, you know, for that, for a year's worth of insurance, it's peace of mind, not only for you as a shooter, but people like myself who are landowners who will let people come onto my property to shoot recreationally. They must have that insurance to come on here. As for Cat H, okay, a little bit different there. You need to get a statement of eligibility to become a pistol club member. Now, if you've already got an A and B license here in Queensland, you don't have to go through that. You don't have to get that statement because obviously you're cleared as a fit and proper person if you already have an A and B license. If you don't, you're just starting off the bare minimum. You need to get that statement of eligibility. You then need to do the Cat H safety course naturally. You then got to join the pistol club and be on probation basically for the first 6 months, and in that first 6 months do 3 competition shoots. Okay, so what that'll be is with a club gun, or you know, it could be someone that you're going there with, you know, they let you use a 22 pistol or whatever, but you've got to do that. Once you over that 6-month probationary period, that's when you can submit to get your full license from there. Okay, so keep in mind though, when you do have a Cat H license, you're required to do 6 mandatory competition shoots a year. Okay, so the last question I got here is from Tractor Milsom Podcast. Okay, never heard of that one, but they've asked here, how can we get more traction with politicians and people like the SSAA, who I think are both massively out of touch? Mate, unfortunately there's a lot of people who do feel the same for various reasons. Look, it's a hard one. The political side of it, I mean, the biggest enemy of shooters are shooters themselves. I mean, you know, leading up to this last federal election, you know, I mean, I tried to motivate hundreds and you know, thousands of shooters to do something. The reality is probably about maybe 1% of them did something, if that. Which is just disgraceful, because how much are you going to lose? How many more new restrictions are you going to cop before you go, enough is enough, there's a line in the sand and I'm actually going to stand up for myself here and be a part of the solution? You know, I had a question the other day from another member on Patreon, and you know, he didn't want it obviously going public, but you know, he did ask me you know, about what should he do, you know, in regards to keeping up the good fight, because you know, he couldn't get involved politically. And I've had a few questions like that lately, and I just said, well, you know, join the Shooters Union, donate to them. If you can't get involved in the fight, back those who do fight for us, okay? A lot of people don't realise that most of the shooters union, apart from some admin staff, are pretty much unpaid. They're just volunteers. You know, so can you imagine like going to the meetings constantly, you know, constantly having members, you know, complaining about like weapons licensing, and hold-ups and all that sort of thing, and then you know, taking that role on completely for free because you love the sport so much that you're willing to stand up and do something. So, you know, if you're not willing to do that, man, back people like that who are, because I can assure you, like every time I see Graham Park, the president of Shooters Union, I'll probably catch up with him maybe once a month, you know, around there. Like, it's like we need a whole day for him to tell me what's been happening, and you know, what members have had issues with what, as in without naming names, but talking about the different issues that different members have had, and where they're at with fighting new proposals from weapons licensing. Like seriously, if we didn't have them, we'd be in a world of hurt. I honestly believe that. So you know, mate, that's how I look at it. You got to donate. You've got to get involved with those organisations. Get friends who or shooters in your area, just out of the blue. There doesn't have to be a proposal or a restriction, but get you know, 10 or 20 of your friends. Make an appointment with your local member and go and sit down there, and you know, don't walk in you know, pair of shorts and thongs and, you know, swear and carry on. You know, walk in there, be neatly dressed, you know, be polite, go in there and explain why you don't want to see any more support for restrictions on licensed shooters. Have your face known, know your local member. So then when you've got problems with weapons licensing, you can go there and sit down with your local member and say to them, look, as a licensed shooter, I've got a real problem with what's happening. I need your help. That's why they're there. That's why they're elected, to represent the local community. So, you know, take advantage of that, and you're only doing what you're lawfully entitled to do. So, as for the SSAA, mate, look, there's been a lot of negativity with them online. I haven't had anything to do with them for years. I'm still a life member, you know, because I paid that years ago. But apart from that, mate, I don't have anything to do with them. I really don't. You know, I'm always doing something with Shooters Union because I feel that they have my best interests at heart. It's as simple as that. So yeah, that's my view on it. All right, guys, so that concludes this month's Q&A. So thanks very much to everyone who submitted questions. I really enjoy answering these, and it also gets the conversation going in the comments below. Guys, if you want to be a part of it, look, most of you who follow me know that I am extremely time poor. I only answer the questions from you guys who support me on Patreon. So in other words, you know, it's from $1 a month. You're happy to fling me $1 a month. Most people will, you know, give me 5 or 10, which obviously I appreciate. But you can ask as many questions as you want and I'll help you out. It's as simple as that. But I can't sit there all day and just answer questions in general off my Facebook page and YouTube and stuff like that. I just can't, guys, because honestly, I would be like this every single day, just answering lists and lists of questions. So I have to have something, a small amount of compensation coming back for my time. So I hope you guys understand. If you don't want to donate, you don't want to ask questions, that's fine. All my videos, all the time and effort that I put into that is completely free for you to watch and enjoy. So hope you've enjoyed listening to this Q&A, so we'll catch you on the next one.